I don't know, maybe there. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Deb Talks. Lupe here with
Deb Owen over at the Owen Group. We're terrible.
We have no camera person again. It's just Deb and I. Anybody volunteer to come be our camera person, please come on over. We would love to have you on our show.
Yeah.
And just not to be our camera person, but to have you on our show. Today, we're going to be talking about bond programs. And that term is used so loosely that Debbie and I were both like, let's get this explained. Explain to Debbie, what is bond program?
Right, because we've talked about all kinds of different programs so far, right?
Yes.
We've talked about all the programs.
Yeah.
And
we've gone through the pros and cons. And in this situation, or what we're going to do today, Debbie's just going to go into detail what are the bond programs.
Okay, so basically they're relatively simple. Every state agencies, they're all directed by different state agencies. In Idaho, it's Idaho Financing and Association. Financing Association.
Yes.
Sorry, IFHA loans or bond loans. Basically, what that means is the state is using bond money, which is money from the government, to fund these loans. And typically they're used for low-income loans, lower-income homes, and first-time home buyer programs. So that's where the money comes from, is just the bonds so that's why the terminology is there.
Okay.
And
so when somebody comes in and says, I'm a first-time home buyer and I want to make sure that I get to use the first-time home buyer loan program, we typically then will be looking at bond programs.
Right. That's exactly what they are the bond programs. And they can change. They change constantly. So right now in the state of Idaho, and I'm just going to talk about the state of Idaho because, like I said, every state agency has their bond programs and everyone can be different. It is different. Everyone is different. In the state of Idaho, there is, the first-time home buyers, right now, honestly, there isn't a first-time home buyer loan benefit. Okay, that can change again in the future because they come and they go as these bonds come and go. So what we look for then is why would somebody go into that program?
Yeah, why? That would be my next question. So what would be the benefits then of using this program?
The benefits would be right now, currently, they have some really good assistance programs that not all lenders would have unless they are associated with Idaho Housing. Now, Idaho Housing doesn't do the loans. They will send it to a preferred lender in your area, which is what we do. We underwrite directly for them. So they don't do the actual loans, but we allow us to use the product.
So as a consumer, I can't call Idaho Housing directly and ask them for a loan?
You can call them directly. They're going to refer you to someone else who actually will do the loan.
The preferred lenders or the referring lenders that they work with. Okay.
Yeah. So currently, as we speak, one of the very a huge pro is if you don't have down payment and or closing cost funds, you can get that from those programs. Okay. They come at a cost, obviously.
Oh yeah. Yep. They're not free. It's not free money.
It's not free money.
Okay.
But for an example, on an FHA loan, you need 3.5% for your down payment. And you also need closing costs. We've spoke about that before. Yeah. So, you might need between your down payment and your closing costs, $15,000 to get into a home. And you just don't have the means to get that. I'm going to kind of back up just a little bit because they're income qualifying loans.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what kind of income are we looking at?
Most counties it's going to be from county to county. Most counties in the state of Idaho, you have to make less than $150,000 for the year, and it's could be household income, and depending on the loan program, we also get you into because they can change. Yeah. Also, but generally speaking, it's $150,000 or less in order to even qualify for some of the assistance. Okay. And then how the assistance is going to work is if your going rate, these are examples, okay? If your going rate on an FHA loan without assistance is, say, 6.75, with an assistance, that rate might be 6.875, but then the assistance part of that is going to be 2 points higher than that going rate.
Mhm.
And you do have a payment. It is termed for 15 years.
And they're fixed rates, right?
They are fixed rates,
Okay.
right? And none of them have a prepayment penalty.
Mhm.
So you can pay them off early. And that was the example on an FHA. They also can, bond loans and Idaho Housing can have assistance on a conventional loan, a 3% down conventional loan. So okay, now I'm kind of jumping all overboard and I apologize.
Mhm.
But the bond loans have to be associated with a main type of mortgage.
Okay.
Okay. So obviously we've gone over there's conventional loans,
Mhm.
there is FHA, there's VA, and there's the rural development loans.
Okay.
So the bond loans are coupled with one of those loan types. Okay. So the loan has to still meet the qualification of the loan type we're getting you into.
Okay. Mhm.
And then depending on, your loan type, like a conventional standard is 5% down. However, they do offer a 3% down loan program. And then if you also are under like 80, it's called area median income limits. In the state of Idaho, if you are 80% or less of that area median income limit on a conventional loan, you could also qualify for reduced private mortgage insurance.
Oh, that's really good.
It is.
Yeah.
It can be a big
help the payment out.
Exactly. It'll
Mhm.
make your payment lower.
Mhm.
And at the same time, you can also get that assistance to use towards closing cost, prepaid items, and of course your down payment.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
Now on all of those loans, any kind of an assistant loans through Idaho Housing do require a minimum amount of money from the buyer still.
Okay.
It's minimal.
So
I will tell you.
as a buyer, I need to have something, some skin in the game.
Some skin in the game.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Currently, it's 0.5% of whatever the purchase price is. Okay. So on a $300,000 loan, what's that? $1,500. I
Mhm.
probably don't know if I did that math
Yeah.
right.
It's 15.
But 0.5% of whatever the purchase price is, you still have to make sure that you have,
Okay.
and we have to document that you have those funds.
And on this one, they're very particular. This cannot be a gift. This has to be your own funds. Correct.
That part of the loan
Mhm.
has to be the buyer's own funds.
Okay.
Yes.
So that has to clearly be documented that's, let's say I'm the buyer, I've got to show that is my money.
Right.
Not gifted from mom or dad or nobody. It's got to be my money. Okay.
Right. And again, typically speaking, when you're getting into a bond loan or an Idaho Housing loan in the state of Idaho, if you are a true first-time home buyer, a lot of times you're going to have a reduced interest rate also.
Mhm. Right
now, that program is not there. I'm not saying it's not going to come back, but right now, currently, that program, I believe, for the true first-time home buyer went away, I think, in November of 23. That doesn't mean it won't come back, because as many years as I've been doing this, that true first-time home buyer program has come and it's gone. And that depends on where they're getting their money from and the government agency. Now, when that program was there, that 150,000 income limit, it was much less also. Okay. So I do believe it's going to come back. When, I don't know.
Yeah.
But typically speaking, when they have those first-time home buyers with the reduced interest rate and a reduced PMI, if that is a program you qualify, then the income limit is much less than that 150,000. And those income limits can change constantly too.
Yeah.
In fact, didn't we just have an income limit change on those?
Yes, they typically
not too long ago.
Yeah, there typically is. Yeah.
So those kind of things can change. And when those programs do change, then they get it out to the lenders who are doing the loans. If you're reserved under the old program, you can still close under that. But as soon as that money's gone, and if you haven't been reserved, then you're instantly into the new programs that they roll out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then even though those loan programs are closed directly, let's say we're doing the loan, we underwrite the loan, we get them approved for the loan, but then who services the loan?
Loan serve. actually services a loan. It's in the same place that the Idaho Housing and Financing Association is at.
Mhm.
That's what they used to be called for the servicing piece, but the reason it's home loan serve is because now Idaho
Mhm.
services a lot of other states' bond programs.
Okay.
So that's why they changed the name. So anybody closing on those loans, the loan will be sold, and you'll be making your payments to home served.
Homes. Okay.
They're really honestly awesome to work with, and they
Mhm.
can do all your payments, online, over the phone, however you want to.
Mhm.
And at least speaking from us,
Mhm.
we still are there to help clients because, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, you're not exactly sure what the taxes mean and what the rules are. And then
Yeah.
we're going to talk about this next week.
Mhm.
What happens in June of every year with taxes and what happens in November and when they
Yeah.
start paying them. So
Yeah.
we're there still to guide you through that and help answer those questions. But
Yeah.
yes, they would be making their payments to home loan serve.
Homeowner.
Mhm.
And there is a little, I don't want to call it a catch. There is a stipulation when you use this kind of the bond program and you use the money for down payment assistance or closing cost assistance. There is a course that must be taken. Correct? How do people go about doing that? And is there a fee for that?
That's actually relatively easy to do. Depending on where you're at, you could go in to a classroom and do it, but most of the places don't do that. So there is an online site that we would direct to you to do it. And you have to get through every chapter. It looks very, very daunting, I know. And you have to get through every chapter. And when you get done with that, they issue the certificate that we would need in order to actually fund on that loan. We can get everything else done, but we would never be able to fund on that loan until that certificate's handed to us in order to prove that you did complete that course. That course is a really good course, by the way. I mean, it's really, really good. Even if you're not a first-time home buyer, I've given other clients that opportunity to go in there and take that course. It talks about budgeting. It talks about property taxes in the state of Idaho. It talks about what contracts look like. It talks about home inspection. It talks about appraisals, home insurances. So it's a really good course that I do recommend it to a lot of people, even if they're not a first-time home buyer or if they're not using the assistance piece of it.
Yes.
Okay. And you ask the cost.
Yep.
And it's $50 to do it. And if you're doing the loan with more than one person, it only has to be the one person that does do that.
And I think that there are, so as Debbie mentioned, that the course is a very educational course and it does provide a lot of information, even if you're not in the market of purchasing a home, but are thinking about it, or even if you have already purchased. I've taken the course personally. I've taken it just so that I can understand what the clients are doing. And I know you've taken it as well, just so that you can understand. And there are times when I believe that the course is even offered for free. I don't know when it's done, but I had a client just take it and they didn't have to pay.
I was actually going to say that, and I don't want to be wrong because I didn't look it up, but I think it's during the month of June.
Is that when it is?
Because June is home buyer month.
Okay.
So I do believe if you do take that now in June, it is free. Do not quote me because I didn't refresh myself on that before we got in here.
I know. I just know because my clients just took it and they didn't pay for it. They told me.
And that certificate, keep it. Even if you think it's next year or the year after, keep that certificate. Because it does not expire. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did have a client that had taken it and they'd had it like 4 years and they did want them to retake that.
Okay. So there might be like a time frame that you have to retake it. Yeah. Okay.
But keep that certificate, especially if it's free this month. Go do it. And even
if you keep your login information, because I believe you can keep going back into the system. It does allow you to keep going back in if you have a login, and you can keep revisiting the program.
Right.
If you want to refresh.
But what we find, at least I feel like this, what we find is people are worried about them because they're like, oh, they're specialty programs and there's more to them. There isn't really. There honestly is not. If you qualify income-wise, there are even, believe it or not, when the true first-time home buyer programs come back, and this has been in the past, There are certain counties or cities, I think they do it by county, don't they? They do it by county.
They do by
That
county.
you don't even have to be a first-time home buyer
Yeah.
to still get the benefit. So there are targeted, they're called targeted counties or non-targeted counties.
Mhm.
We know exactly which ones they are.
Yeah.
So if you're buying and selling in some of those counties, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer when those programs are back out there to get that reduced rate when they bring those kind of programs back out.
Yeah. Yep.
So, that's a benefit, but there's no other real overlays to like the properties. There isn't, because we have to follow the initial loans guideline, whether it's conventional or those other loan programs that I've mentioned.
Mhm.
That bond loan or that Idaho housing loan is tied to one of those loans.
Okay.
So they're not scary loans
No,
at all. They're great loans.
Yeah.
They're fabulous loans.
Yes, and it is a good program too. If
Right.
you're meeting with your lender to find out what are the, what are the benefits to using it. Obviously, the
Yeah,
big benefit
right.
is if you're needing assistance with the, closing costs and down payment.
Right. The
So-
con is, and we're just going to say that because the con is with that assistance, just that terminology
Yeah.
almost sounds like you don't have to worry about paying it back, and that's not the case.
No.
So your rate is a little higher on both,
Mhm.
and your payment's going to be higher by using that assistance of any kind.
Mhm.
Still, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good. If that's what we need to get into a home,
Yep.
we're going to look at that. And what I do caution my clients for is just pay attention, especially any of that assistance.
Mhm.
If you're going to put any extra money towards your mortgage,
Yeah.
do it on that loan.
Yep.
On that assistance part, and get that paid off quicker or reduced principal balance on that one quicker.
Yeah.
So not necessary to do it, but
Yeah.
at least there's that.
I agree with that.
And one thing that people have to understand is when you go on those,
Mhm.
lenders don't have a lot of leeway to change. We don't, because the pricing, the product, everything is set by Idaho Housing, no matter what.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
you can go as a consumer right online to their website and you can see exactly what the rate is.
Mhm.
So now you might be confused at some of those because they have so many different products and they can mix and match. And it's like, okay, if you're here, you're whatever.
Yeah.
But at least you can see
Yeah.
that is set
Mhm.
by the state because they're the ones getting the bond money for that loan for you to close on your home.
Right.
So
Yeah.
great loans.
Yeah.
Honestly, we've been one of their top
Yeah.
lenders for years and years and years.
Mhm.
And again, here's a pro for us
Yeah.
is what Lupe said.
Yeah.
We underwrite them directly.
Mhm.
Okay, so that means
Yep.
everything is done here before, and you don't even know it, and then your loan goes afterwards. Because if you don't direct underwrite to somebody, then it has to go to them to get approved and back and forth before you can even close the loan.
Mhm.
So we're a direct lender for them
Yes.
and have been for years and
Mhm.
love working with them.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And it's no different than, like Debbie said, because we can direct underwrite, we can close them rather quickly as well. And so it's not like, it's going to be even longer for you
Right.
to
It's like, I'm
utilize
taking
this.
a bond loan, so it's going to
Yes.
take 60 days to close. No,
Correct. No.
absolutely not.
No.
So
Yeah.
they're great loans, but I wanted to
Mhm.
clarify that because that is a scary word.
Yes. Yeah.
And it shouldn't be.
No.
It's easy enough. We'll just walk you through the whole thing.
We got you.
We got you.
We got you.
Yes.
So again, I think that anything to share?
I forget that.
I know we always like to have a
I
little tidbit
forget
for you,
that.
and we just haven't had it these last couple of programs.
Yeah. We got to get more in our game.
But we will get we will get you. We will get you next
Right.
time, and
Right.
just enjoy the weather.
and
It's supposed to be warming up, and let us
Stay.
know if you have any questions. We're here. Yes, we
Yep.
hope that stays.
Yep.
Yes.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.